showtime. Dynamite Download. Welcome to Dynamite Download, your source for positive coverage of all elite wrestling.
This is what pro wrestling's supposed to feel like.
Oh, you guys, positive energy.
I think that created a little moment in itself.
You're saying I have a better record than Kenny Omega and Samoa Joe, and now I'm going to have to wrestle them.
I've never seen someone able to break down like wrestling like he does.
Mariah May, boom.
My real story does connect with a lot of people.
That you need to be careful in the locker room.
I definitely think that women's wrestling has been elevated.
And with the loss of Brody, I feel like we were just kind of a little bit directionless.
I was like deep diving into like cults.
Raw force.
Raw force?
Oh my God!
Amazing. I had to smack him around a few times to fully gain his respect.
You said that in front of the voice of a generation?
It was Frank match.
Awesome.
This podcast is, quite frankly, the drizzling shit, if I'm being quite honest.
They spread positivity about AEW.
Welcome to Dynamite Download.
Wow, watching that, rest in peace. Fuego del Sol is no longer with us. Fuego del Sol is gone, and KJ Orso has taken over. If you know, you know. But welcome to Dynamite Download. SPD, what's up, dude?
That is right. What is up, Mind Runner? It is episode 185. We are rocking and rolling full throttle on our way to Double or Nothing in 10 days. Very, very soon. I can't wait. I mean, for Double or Nothing, the card is finally starting to shape out. And after what we saw last night, we're finally getting it to kind of round out, I guess you could say. And it's going to be a pretty epic card for sure. A lot of stuff going on, and maybe a couple bold predictions of what's in store ahead of us. But I loved last night's show. And like you said, to kind of bring it back, Fuego, RIP, man, what he's been doing on social with this resurgence of his new character, his new alter ego, everything is like, wow, I am loving the promos he's cutting. I'm loving what he's doing on there, and I'm excited for this next chapter of his wrestling career, man. What are your thoughts on this? And because we were all like, I kept texting him like, no way is he done. No way, no way, no way. And then all this is coming out so soon in a great way. How do you feel?
I think it's great. I think KJ Orso, he's going back to kind of like the pre-Fuego time. He was crushing his Fuego del Swole. He's been really doing a great job, but this heel character, it's really defining. It's a whole new character for him. It's kind of tying back to his pre-Fuego days. I think it's great marketing. I think it's going to open up a whole new lane for him. He'll continue to dominate GCW. I think he'll continue. I see a lot of independent wrestlers, former AEW, former WWE wrestlers that are in the independent scene. They're kind of following the Matt Cardona playbook here of how you can really, if you hustle and bust your ass, you can make a career on the indies and make it compelling, especially with social media and the streaming services now. GCW gets good numbers, and for what it is, you can really make a good living out on the indies as a wrestler. And I think Fuego is just really redefining himself. I'm excited to see where he's going to end up. And I think this is going to be awesome. I think he looks kind of gangster a little bit now, I think he's really,
I like it.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's going to be great.
What was great last night? I feel like the main event last night was fantastic. I mean, the whole show was really exciting. Beach break.
Did you feel like it was a little bit of anarchy last night?
Overall, it was a little anarchy. Looking at this card, one thing I got to say though, before we go into beach break, I'm all here for these themed dynamites and all that. It's all fun and games, and Fight for the Fallen, beach break, and all these things. But if you're going to do it, I think theme it out. I loved like Bash at the Beach, WCW. And then when they do certain themes, like decorate the set, have a special thing, like at least tie it in. Don't just slap a name on a special Dynamite, which is fine, I guess, but I want the full package with it all.
Palm trees, coconuts, beach, make it a beach feel. Exactly.
Have they're doing Chicago Street Fight, obviously in Chicago, but they could have had like a beach brawl, for Big Bill and Brian Keith. It could have been something like that. They should have had like on the side of the stage, had some sand set up or something,
have Lance Archer hiding in the sand and just come out like that. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I AEW, the one, again, my gripes are nitpicks compared to what the product has given us, but there's so many times where there's opportunities that are right there.
Right.
They when they had that Minecraft tie-in, how they didn't have some kind of Minecraft mayhem match where you use gimmicks from the Minecraft universe involved, like hit somebody with a diamond pickaxe and you have a creeper show up and blow up. I mean, there are so many things that you could have tied in with Minecraft. I think that instead of just going, by the way, this match is brought to you by Dance of Dragons on the HBO Max, have something involved with that. I think you're absolutely right. I hope we get back to that. We need to.
It makes it more fun. And then if you started to do that, then it could translate to people in the audience, kind of tying along to dressing up or whatever, just the theme, it just kind of make it feel different. But this match or last night's show, Dynamite, featured 5 really fun matches, a lot of superstars, and a lot at stake leading into Double or Nothing. Kicking things off with that tag team match. I mean, he's showing it right here on the right. I was actually just saw this photo recently when I was scrolling through Twitter before the show. I was like, oh my gosh, whoever captured that, what a capture. It's like, how did I not get squished totally on this one there?
By the way, shout out to Scott Leach on Twitter. He takes tremendous photos. I think he goes to every event. I don't know if he's the official AEW photographer, but he captures like he got this photo right here and a few of the ones that I use here. I follow him because I try to do screen capture on YouTube or something, and it's not working. It doesn't look as good as these photos.
Crisp action shots.
Yes. Before we get to the beach break, we got to break some hearts.
All right.
How are we doing that? Break some hearts here because I have a feeling it's time for some of us to admit that this isn't our season of the draft. But don't worry, we'll be out of our misery soon because Double or Nothing is almost here and we're going to start a new draft. But ladies and gentlemen, let's get to the draft, current draft standings. Shame on you, SBD. Shame on you, dude. Shame on you.
Yeah, off camera, I was doing the boom dance. Even though it's like, I love it, I hate it at the same time. But sitting pretty comfortable at the top still, even though, once in a while I'll get 1 or 2 points. But I got a lot of wrestlers on Collision too. So I've been the Collision Cowboy as of late. So I haven't had too many points on Dynamite, but the Collision Cowboy, I have been back there. You know what? Speaking of Collision Cowboy, I just thought of something for Double or Nothing. One of my main guys is out, and I could see maybe a possible return at Double or Nothing.
Okay. We'll talk about that.
Might save that for the preview show. Mm-hmm. But if you know SPD's roster, you'll know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. But all right, man. Yeah, this has been a hard fought battle, 20-point difference right now. But I mean, that's not much to say with this because I'm shocked that how Steven kind of just like flatlined for a little while. Mm-hmm. He was creeping for the longest time, but Brian, man, has been showing up big time. It's a battle for second place right now, I feel like.
It is. And
thankfully,
Cray is 2 points behind. Brian and Steven are tied. anything can anything can happen. Again, Steven might all of a sudden have a thing. Surgeons, look at Full Tilt. Deb and I are tied. Bobby's right behind me. Brent and Courtney are tied at 31. And I will say this, other than this could have gone any direction. It could have been any one of us in that 51 spot. Other than that, I felt like this has been a tight race. This is the furthest I think you've been ahead of second place by 10 points. And I think at this point, with only a couple weeks left, and you've got some of your main players involved in the next couple weeks before Double or Nothing, I think it's safe to say it's yours to lose at this point. But I do think that there's some changes I'm going to make to my picks next season that I think it's time for me to get another crown myself.
Enough is enough, and it's time for a change.
It is. Give me what I want. Absolutely. But respect to everybody that played in these rounds. We might have some surprise. Some people might be dropping out. We might actually have some new team members on the draft next season.
Always good. The more, the merrier.
And also, and if you want to be part of the Dynamite Download draft, you've got to, you've got to join the Dynamite Club Gold. And that also allows you some cool custom emojis. And we actually have some new super chats ready to debut. So if you give us a super chat, we'll have a super chat party ready to go. But yeah, exciting. I'm excited about it. But we don't have to dwell on these stats much any longer. Let's get to the opening contest. Damn, this. I mean, if you want to start a beach break,
you got to say that in better terms.
Damn. Oh yeah, damn.
There you go.
There you go. Or Rob Van.
Damn. No, it's SP. Damn.
There it is. That's it. But SP damn or mine damn. It's that didn't work as well. What a way to kick off Dynamite. And I thought a great matchup. Kind of that whole concept of can they coexist? I thought Will Ospreay and Hanger made an incredible tag team. I love their combo of the buckshot hidden blade at the end there too. Granted, Josh Alexander not having the best debut in AEW, kind of taking some L's, but being part of the Callis family might do that to you. I thought this was fantastic. I thought the storytelling in the ring was great. The almost hitting Hanger with the hidden blade. There was a lot of back and forth, just a little bit. There's so much cool stuff going on with this match. I would have been fine with Takeshita and Josh Alexander winning this match. I think it would have been just as compelling for the show, but I can understand they still, either way, this is setting up such great tension for this matchup going into Double or Nothing.
All right.
Two of the best at this point now. I'm fine with either one of them winning the title shot. I there's one person I'm pretty sure it's going to be, but at this point I'm fine with either or either. I've heard it both ways. What did you think of this way to start off the freaking show?
In typical AEW fashion in the last few months, kicks off the show with Ospreay's theme. Is this a look into the crystal ball of what we're going to see kind of leading the path of the next generation of AEW? Possibly. But he consistently has been leading off AEW, and it's a perfect lead-in to always a great segment, always a great match. The guy is just incredible at all he's done, and we are so lucky and grateful that he's in AEW. That being said, like this, I love how AEW will tag two guys together that you almost would never put together on paper in terms of just like, their charisma, their stardom and whatever it is. And then, I mean, like saying, not to fast forward too much, but like Sammy and Dustin, like, you don't put them, you would really, years ago I would have been like, why would you put them together? And then look at them, the Ring of Honor tag team champs. And obviously these two are facing each other, but when you throw them together, it's like, oh, wow, look at this chemistry. Look at their unique move sets. they're so similar, but also so different at the same time. You're showing that picture at the bottom, like that tandem top rope move, the backflip versus the whatever million twisty flip that Ospreay can do and just land on his feet, which is absolutely incredible. But their chemistry and their story that they told was fantastic. And not to overshadow what the Callis family has been doing either, because they are just on a tear, and they're featured consistently top to bottom in so much of every single TV show, whether it be Dynamite or Collision, for a reason. We're seeing more of them on Collision as well. Whether they take the win or take the loss, they are a pivotal part of AEW at all times, because of their presence, because of the talent that Callis has on and in his family. Takeshita, I'm really curious of the next direction that he goes.
Yeah.
I don't know would be. I think Takeshita is absolutely incredible. The guy has shown tremendous growth, and he's quickly becoming one of my favorites in AEW, period. Love his offense, love what he does in the ring, love his character work, and I'm very curious of the next direction that he's going in. What's his next goal, and where would you put him?
What I would do, and I'd love to hear the chat, what's next for Takeshita? Here's my booking. All in, we're going to unify the Breakfast Continental Championship with the International Championship. And then I think that Kenny woins it, and then it's Kenny versus Takeshita. I think would be awesome. Oh, but looks like we got ourselves a super chat.
You called it.
We got to ask you. I'm going to ask you, Brian BR, are you feeling a little statish? Or are you feeling a little dark? Are you dark and you want to raise some hell? Do you want to feel a little super stat party? Or do you want a little Adam Cole baby? Or do you want Tony Storm?
Bucks.
He says the Bucks.
Yeah.
We can't. I don't think we can do. All right, we'll do the Bucks. We'll we'll mute it in the post production. But ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a super chat party.
Super chat party.
Woo! Super chat party.
There we go. Thank you so much, Brian.
We got to get
you in the chat.
Ricochet in that as well, because Ricochet's fitting in with the Elite as well.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that, Mr. Steven in the chat. All good.
That's right, bud. We missed you, Steven, last few weeks.
Yeah,
we throw up the standings once again. Oh, there's the most recent standings. It's still a battle. It's still a battle.
Steven, you got to shut this guy up, man. He's already clearing his mantle for his next trophy here for this.
That's right. I'm taking off the nameplates of Mind Runner and getting SPD ones shined up on the nameplates of the belt.
All right. But yeah, this was fantastic. I'd love to see what's next for Takeshita. But let's jump to the women's division here. And we've talked about this before, and I don't want to go on a rant, but I just want to say this is people have been complaining about Toni Storm and her eliminator matches. I think this has been great, a great showcase for Toni Storm, and I kind of figure this is where we were going. Is one of these they're going to get it, and that's going to be her opponent at Double or Nothing. And last night we got to see someone upset and get the win and get the title shot at Double or Nothing. We also got to see the returning, of course, her Majesty herself. She's always a show when she comes in, but we got to see Sky Blue return, from Joliet. They say from Chicago, but she's from Joliet, which Chicago, and she got to come back, and it was great to see her. And it's hard to make her a heel when she's in her hometown. And she'd been missing for almost over a year. If you get a chance though, gotta check out this interview that she and Kyle Fletcher did with I think it was a local podcast in Chicago, but really talked about her injury and recovery and how she really thought about giving up wrestling. But Kyle Fletcher had been a huge supporter, refused to let her quit. It's really helped her rehab. I mean, she's got some gnarly scars on her leg. She basically broke her tibia, fibia, all the ibias got broken. But now
I'll tell
she's
you what, I
back.
broke mine. I broke both my tibia and fibia and dislocated my ankle, and that was not fun in high school and football. And I have a plate and 12 screws in my ankle, and it was a long recovery for sure. I had a limp for a while and definitely was hesitant about doing certain things afterwards. However, I mean, you got to get back on the horse, and of course, having a great support system with you is key. You know, it's different when you're younger, but especially, you know, where she's at in her career, like you got to be second guessing that for sure. But glad to see she's back and new, still kind of leaning into that darker persona. And, you know, we were there at All In for that All In weekend in 2021 when we first saw Sky Blue, and the crowd was just ecstatic for her. And she was just a local talent at the time. And then, you know, shortly after that got signed to AEW. And so it's great to see her back in the ring, and, you know, loving the new aura that she's bringing.
Yeah, she's still kind of tapping into that kind of spookiness from the House of Black, but she's making it her own now. She's kind of separate. You know, she's making her own character. I thought this was a great way also she was protected because it was Mina that got the pin on Toni Storm. So it kind of, even though like it's her debut, she didn't really get a pin. She didn't get pinned on her debut return.
Right.
But I'm really interested to see what she does going forward. I would love for her and Julia Hart to form a tag, because again, the agenda is Tony Khan. Please, we need women's tag team titles. I would love to see that, because we could have them go up against TNA. You know, I'm talking about Harley Cameron and Anna Jay. I think that would be incredible. Great matchup too. I really love Azumi. Mina was fantastic. I don't know if you caught this, but so Mina debuts. She comes out and to this new theme song, and it was to say that the reaction was a bit confused. I think the crowd was not having it. I think at home we were a little bit confused. Wasn't going over very well. I mean, it was kind of a mix of Cardi B meets trap music with, I don't know, with some kind of, I don't know, old school funk or something. I think it was trying a little too hard. And just to the point where Amina was trying to do her dance to it, and it just wasn't popping. So ironically, and this was actually, Tony Khan acknowledged this, that people said we need Mina's old theme back on Twitter, and he says, I already switched it back. So when Mina got the win, you heard her old theme. So I think that new theme, whatever it was, Tony Khan kind of put the kibosh on it. So now Mina's got her old theme back. But that actually highlights that's a boss, that's a CEO that listens to the fans. He's not going to try to shove something down your throat.
I love that. I love being active. And, you know, if you saw the Maven snuck into AEW type video there, you know, I said this last week on our show, and, you know, as much heat or, you know, social trolls that TK gets online, like, man, the guy's so passionate about what he does, and he's so plugged into what he does. And maybe everyone's got their flaws with what they do, and everyone thinks they can be an armchair critic and run things better. You know, you're posting about certain things like, oh, I want to do this, and this, and book, but like, spend an hour in someone's shoes and then realize like how much goes into it. And someone who's that passionate and that like laser focused on just having, you know, for the sickos, giving people what they want, and like literally, you know, an open ear too as well. So I that's one of the many reasons why we have been drawn to AEW from very, very early on, of the way that they go, the way they're creative, and the way that their talent freedom essentially goes. But shifting to this match in the women's division, I do agree. I think like it's very, very close to getting those tag team titles, and that would benefit the division a ton, because you would almost and hopefully force your hand to for more women on TV, which they have been more and more. That would be the third, in theory, the third and fourth title of the women's division. So you would focus on more. But I love where they're going with everything in both title pictures right now, and who they've been featuring. And it's just a lot of fun. And the eliminator match, and I'm always here for a champ defending their title, or a tramp that is the champ.
The tramp that is the champ. Yes. Absolutely. I love it. I think you're right. I love it. I think the tramp that is the champ. Yeah, I love that and the bewildered way she got pinned by Tony Storm's own like small pack, big package move. I thought that was great. I think it's going to set up I think not only does this set up for a great match, you know who's going to return at Double or Nothing. You can't have Mina and Tony Storm in a match together without that third person getting involved.
I mean,
the glamour.
I know.
So
I'm curious where that goes. So, I mean, I hope we have 2 big returns. Actually, I hope we have 3 huge returns at Double or Nothing. No, excuse me, 4. All right, I got 4 hot returns that I would love to see at Double or Nothing that I'll share on our preview show.
No. 3 are hot, but 1 reminds us that the world is cold. You better bundle up.
All right.
You see what I mean? All right. Steven asked,
4 bold predictions of returns
there you go.
That I want to see at Double or Nothing.
There's Steven in the chat said maybe women's blood gut. I think so. I want to talk about it. Thekla is going to be in AEW too. I think that's happening. I will talk about that later down. Well, I want to come back to that after we talk about the main event, because I think they're dipping their toe in that. But yes, I love this. I think they're setting that up. Of course, we're going to have our Double or Nothing preview show. We're really going to speculate on that. I also kind of love the chain of submissions between Azumi. Some people go. She goes by AZM or Azumi. I've heard it both ways. Whatever. Azumi. Of course, if you don't know, she actually pinned Mina in a 3-way and took Mercedes' New Japan title. So now Mercedes is 1 title down.
Right.
Mercedes has lost her mind, so she attacks Azumi after the match, puts her in the money maker bank statement, whatever. But then Jamie Hayter comes out and puts her in the hater statement or whatever. And to me, it just seemed like such a cool chain reaction, and I like the build. But they packed so much women's wrestling into this set. Like, it was almost like, okay, women, you have this block of time only, and they're like, bet. We're going to put everything, all of our storylines into this segment. I thought they did a great job with that. I thought it was fantastic.
I did too. I was really thrilled with it.
Let's hop into the next match, shall we?
Yeah, we'll hop in 1 foot at a time. One leg at a time.
Were you familiar with Zach Gowen when he was wrestling?
No, not at all. And I texted you when I saw this graphic briefly. I was like, what is that guy's name? You know what I'm talking about? Who was in AEW, had or WWE, like no chin, they would call him. Yeah. What's his name? With AJ Styles, he had a feud with.
Yeah.
What's his name?
I forgot. I keep wanting to say Paul Ellering, but that's not Paul. Paul Ellering was the Legion of Doom guy. But
I thought this was when I first saw the photo without the name. I was like, is this him? But I was not familiar with him at all, and I was thoroughly impressed with the way Zach could really move in the ring. Very, very impressive. But this was a great way to put gasoline on a continued fire of the heat of the heel that Ricochet is getting. The play and stuff he does, the character work that he's been doing. I mean, it's just week in and week out, we're preaching the man for just doing A+ heel work, and it continued the last 2 weeks by stealing a man's leg. I mean, come on, how much worse could you get? And I love the commentator team just leaning into that too.
This is Ricochet is the best heel in AEW right now. I'm sorry, MJF. I'm sorry, Don Callis. I'm sorry, Christian. He has taken your mantle now. He is number one heel,
100%.
and I love every minute of it. He continues to find new ways. I thought this match was fantastic. Like, Full Tilt Deb was like, "What the heck am I watching?" And I was loving every minute of it. That was fantastic. My favorite moment was when Ricochet tried to do a figure 4 and realized he couldn't. that was fantastic. But yeah, and like she said, Zach Gowen's a veteran, and it was like the way he was moving around. I mean, yeah, he missed it, but he did a moonsault, a one-legged moonsault off the top rope. I mean,
so impressive,
tremendous. And this, and behind the curtain, kayfabe aside, this was a great tribute to the guy. Getting him to have this match with Ricochet. Ricochet worked very well with him. It was a great match. As goofy as it sounds on paper, Zach Gowen really impressed me with his maneuverability with one leg, and I thought it was fantastic. And Ricochet was the perfect, if you were going to have a heel against him, Ricochet was the perfect heel. And I love how they made his baldness more of like they made fun of his baldness. Like, it was almost like, yeah, he's got one leg, but he's got hair. It was almost like they're and even Zach got to get a couple slaps on Ricochet's bald head. I thought that was fantastic.
As he should. Everyone goes against Ricochet should get a few slaps.
Yeah, absolutely. And we got a thumbs up.
Shocking, but we all know MJF plays chess while everyone plays checkers. So always a underlying motive. There's always a selfish plan. And I feel like it might entitle the tag team titles and in taking them away from Hurt Syndicate somehow, or costing them that. So I'm very curious of the end game of this. Shocked that we got all thumbs up. I saw Shelton Benjamin and MVP at an indie show on Saturday in White Plains, New York. Each had a singles match. MVP wrestled Al Snow.
What does everybody want?
I know he was supposed to wrestle Mike Bennett, but Mike Bennett couldn't make it. So Al Snow was the pop surprise
that was
contender, and then Shelton Benjamin wrestled Mufasa Ali, which is a great match. And so definitely the crowd was over too with the "We hurt people." So I've been loving Bobby Lashley's character work in this kind of whole segment over here. It is definitely not going to last long with this MJF saga, especially after what we saw last night, getting the lawyer involved. And I feel like the over cheesiness that MJF is doing is kind of just, silent nods to people who are watching of like, oh, I'm going to screw them over. So that will really catapult MJF back to heeldom and Hurt Syndicate to full babyface, in my opinion. So I feel like big picture, this is going to benefit everyone involved. But for the time being, it's going to be fun as fans as seeing just the obnoxious MJF. It felt like I won the lottery, and the commentator team, I think it was the commentator team, said somehow he didn't celebrate this much when he won the world title. Yeah. So what's your take on this whole saga? Got an answer.
I'll get into more details when we do our Double or Nothing preview show. I've had to suspend our awesome theory about Wardlow joining, because as much as I want that to happen, I had to put that aside. Now that I've cleansed that out of my hopes and dreams, which it may still happen, you never know. I'm now seeing a different angle, because now I'm wondering who's playing who here. Because up until last night, I thought that the Hurt Syndicate was playing MJF. They were stringing him along. And even with the thumbs up, I'm like, okay, this isn't going to last. It's thumbs up, but really they're going to kick his ass at Double or Nothing or something. But now I'm starting to wonder if it's MJ. Like you said, MJF is playing 4D chess. Like, what has he got up? And if you've mentioned that is this a play for the tag titles, then who's his tag team partner?
Exactly.
Who's going to show up and surprise everybody and rock the world as his tag team partner? And what's going to happen here? How is this whole thing going to go about? Now, ultimately, MJF wants his BBB. He wants his big blueberry belt. Blurberry. I've heard it both ways.
You can say blueberry.
The blueberry belt. But so what's the plan here? I'm trying to see the angles, but I have some ideas, but this is definitely not going to end with MJF and the Hurt Syndicate at all.
No.
Whether or not Cedric Alexander becomes all late and joins them, I actually hope they don't. I would love for Cedric to be in AEW, but I would rather somebody new join the Hurt Syndicate. But I know that they want to probably try to do what they couldn't do in WWE with this group, whatever. I'm intrigued. I'm very intrigued because you just know once he mentioned the I need my lawyer to look over the contract, that's when, okay, something's at play here. What's going to happen? I think it'll be pretty cool to see.
Yeah, he's going to want, 51% share or something like that, majority stake or something like that. So he's going to pull some of those shenanigans with that. So he is definitely full of, 4 or 5 steps ahead of everybody.
Yeah.
MJF is. And so I'm tuned in for this one. I'm excited. The results are in, the votes are officially in. There's no recount, and we're on to the next chapter of what's in store for the Hurt Syndicate and MJF.
It's going to be awesome. Speaking of segments, okay. I haven't been a big fan of the Adam Cole Daniel Garcia feud. It just kind of for me, whatever. That's personal taste. I do like, of course, getting Nigel back in the ring. I think is great. I love how the way this went down, and I'm starting to see how Stokely is a good fit for FTR. I wasn't sure about this last week. I thought, why is Stokely with FTR? He's not needed. But the tracksuit thing, he's such a great mouth. And not that FTR needs that. I mean, Dax is fantastic on the mic himself, but this solidifies that heel thing. But I thought this interaction was great, and I thought this was a great way to really lay out the story for a Nigel Daniel Garcia versus FTR match. And Stokely's such a great foil to make that happen.
I think, as I mentioned on my hot take a few weeks ago about wanting to turn our Garcia heel, having someone as over, even though he's essentially the heel on commentary, but he's over in the ring, Nigel, having someone like him kind of come to the rescue and join forces is going to help Daniel Garcia kind of I don't want to say reset, but kind of just remind us that he is one of the better baby faces on the roster. And I think that was a new direction that he needed to go in. And I hope they upset FTR, and I can't see that happening, but I do hope they upset FTR because Garcia, I think, could use the win, and Nigel as well, even though he's not going to continue to wrestle most likely. But you know, in the chat mentioning, possibly a Pinnacle reunion, we kind of predicted that as like a hot take as well. Who knows what's in store? But the Stokely edition is great. Like, he has always been so good at everything he's done. He's so smooth on the mic. He plays his role so perfectly. And especially here, almost like the bait and switch that he did here to Nigel and Daniel. Like, without Stokely, they wouldn't have been able to do the sneak attack. And so it adds that other level of heelness and dynamic to this FTR turn that they're getting. And I think it's much needed. And, I spoke on it last week where both guys don't need a mouthpiece because they're both fantastic on the mic. However, it's adding that, wild card to the group that's going to allow them to do things like we saw last night, the sneak attacks.
Love it.
Maybe
I'm
throw him out as the sacrificial lamb sometimes.
Yeah, and he's such a great, little weasel, character. I did like him with the Stat Willow thing too, but yeah, he's such a great heel. Good stuff. All right, let's get right to it.
Jeez.
There were a ton of pictures I could choose from, but I just went with one because to me, this was the match. Like, to me, this was what we got and what we paid for and what we expected to see. It was a if you said steel cage match, Samoa Joe, John Moxley, you know what you're getting. You know you're getting blood. You know you're getting just like basically two guys in a meat grinder. And that's exactly what we get. Just another Dynamite Mox busted open. You're right. That's always the blood counter.
Two guys that stepped in the alleyway, put a fence around them, and just beat the crap out of each other.
Oh my goodness. It was brutal in all the good ways. The match itself, because with the aftermath it was the big, like, holy crap moment. But let's talk about the match itself. Did it live up to your expectations?
Yes, it did. I was impressed with the back and forth. There was a ebb and flow of the match, and both guys don't have this amazing crazy move set, but that's their style. Like, I love the way they played against each other. It is the more ground and pound, hammer each other style, and that's to kind of reverse a little bit, the Hangman Will Ospreay, who's going to face Mox at All In. And, I love a hard-hitting match that Hangman and Moxley could have, and Ospreay and Moxley would be very interesting styles to go against as well, because Ospreay does so great with guys that can dance with him, such as the Takeshas, the Kenny Omegas, and those who do have more of an athletic style in the ring. So I'm very curious of how Ospreay is going to stack up against someone like Mox. That's why it's like a win-win no matter what. If Hangman goes against Mox, then we're going to get this kind of a similar Samoa Joey style match, but adding more elements to it that Hangman can. Ospreay will be able to strike and be hard, but he does have all those big arsenal moves in his pocket that he can do. The Joe versus Moxley match was everything that I really enjoyed. I expected the physical match. I did not expect everything we saw after the match, which we can touch on momentarily.
Yeah.
But what did you think of the match first and foremost?
Oh, it's exactly what I thought it would be. Like totally on free TV too. Like you said in the chat, it was outlet, just like BR said. This was just raw. This was a beatdown, back and forth beatdown. I thought it was great. I thought Joe looked fantastic. There was a shot I was trying to find. There was a shot where Mox is bleeding. He's kind of getting up and Joe is behind him, and he's doing this look like he's got his, like, he's doing like the Pile look from Full Metal Jacket, where he's kind of looking through his eyebrows. And it was such a great shot. The cameraman had the perfect shot right there. Such a great moment. There were a lot of great for a cage match. There were a lot of great camera shots. I thought was that captured a lot of it. They didn't need as much plunder in this because they were the plunder, and Joe just beating the crap out of Moxley. I don't think I've seen Moxley, as beaten as he was. I mean, he's taken punches like this, but Joe was really just kicking his ass. I thought it was fantastic. And of course, the only way Mox was going to get out of this with a win was if there was some outside interference, and there was. Yeah. And it wasn't long, of course, Claudio and Yuta showed up, and of course Hobbs and Willow at ringside, and and it was things were setting up. But then a hooded figure shows up, and it was none other than Gabe Kidd.
On Team SPD, might I add.
Yes, on Team SPD, but also you got to remember this guy, and if you know your New Japan history, not only does this guy have beef with Kenny Omega because they had an incredible feud
recently,
an incredible match recently. Kenny's first match back after diverticulitis was Gabe Kidd. It was an incredible match. It made Tetsuya cry. But there's something I want to bring up here later. I'll just say about Gabe Kidd. But if you know your New Japan history and you know your AEW history, you'll know why. But this was great. Gabe Kidd slid him the case. Mox got the hit. It was, there's no DQ, so it was all fair.
Right.
Mox got the 1, 2, 3. The Bucks come out as the cage is up, and they go to shake Moxley's hand. It sounds like the Bucks are in league with the Death Riders. Gabe Kidd looks like he's kind of aligned with the Death Riders. Is he replacing Pac? I'm okay with that while Pac is recovering. And of course, Matthew Jackson, lowers the cage.
That's right.
Traps them in there and starts beating them all up. And of course, Willow took a hit. They've got Hobbs. They're getting ready they're going to try to kill Samoa Joe.
Yeah. And
once again, forget Bruce Wayne. Swerve Strickland is Batman because or Spider-Man. Whose house? Swerve just walks down the aisle, climbs the cage like it's nothing, and lands on all these knuckleheads, beats them up. Of course, Matt Jackson's trying to get the cage up as fast as possible. The Death Riders and the Elite, they take off. Of course, not to mention Okada coming down and punching Kenny in the diverticulitis. They try to get the cage back up. The Death Riders take off with Gabe Kidd, and it's the Bucks. Swerve grabs the microphone. Swerve again. Swerve is the man. Swerve has established himself, I think, as he's the face of AEW at this point. Grabs the mic, and as soon as he said it, we knew it was coming. I think we're going to need a little anarchy, and the crowd just popped. Everybody knew what that meant. And anarchy in the arena. Now, tell us in the chat. We want to hear your speculations here. But if you do the math, it's the Bucks, Okada, Moxley, Claudio, Yuta, Gabe Kidd, and Marina Shafir. That's 8. Versus Swerve, Kenny, Samoa Joe, Hobbs. Do we put Shibata in there? Is Hook okay? That still leaves 2 more.
You got Willow. Willow.
Sorry, Willow. That still leaves another opening.
So there's different things I'm seeing people throw out their theories, like just to kind of spread the love on the card. Maybe you have Briscoe versus Ricochet as a singles match, and you have Speedball versus Okada as a singles match. So
that's right. Speedball did fight. I forgot Speedball did fight Okada.
I would like both those matches. I'm fine with as singles matches. And it's kind of, people are like, it's kind of shocking Ricochet wasn't involved in Anarchy in the Arena, but you could bring have part of the original Ops returning for this. Who else would kind of align with that? I'm really not sure. You could throw in, if those singles matches don't happen, you could throw in Speedball and or Briscoe, which would be awesome. Or you, in smart booking, would be throw in Wild Card. Next week on Dynamite, where the Death Riders or Young Bucks come out like you're outnumbered, blah 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 blah. And we'll throw in a wild card, with that.
I would love to see, like, if Shibata is okay, but Hook is still not able to compete. So they do the wild card. There's going to be a surprise member. Just to answer Steven's question, I think the plan is Omega versus Okada at All In.
Hopefully, when we're down there, when we are going, which is 58 days away. Yep, 58 days away for All In.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. What about this theory for Anarchy in the Arena? You have the wild card, which you could use this person as a wild card in the match, or you could kind of just have them as a cameo, would be to have Hangman make an appearance to almost help Swerve kind of take out the Bucks.
No,
to plant the seed
I
of
think
that.
you keep Hanger and Osprey together unless Osprey beats Hanger and then Hanger's gonna come
That's
out.
what I mean. That's what I would book.
after that.
Osprey winning, and Hangman lost, and then he comes out
I
later
think
in the
that
show.
might be a cameo, but I think that this a good one of two surprise members I think would be great. I think Steven's thinking like us. I think
That would
if
be
you imagine
that pop.
everybody else, and then you hear ding, 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 you hear Darby's theme hit, the crowd's gonna go nuts. That's gonna be a huge pop.
I don't know. I don't think there'd be a bigger pop than to have Darby's music hit.
There's one. Now, I'm not gonna say Orange Cassidy. I don't think it's gonna be Orange Cassidy. As much as that I would laugh so hard if it was Orange Cassidy. I would.
If Orange Cassidy music hits, this is what will happen.
I would laugh. No, here's my thought. I hinted at it earlier, and we'll talk more about Double or Nothing. I think Darby would be a great spot.
Yes,
if he's back from Everest. However, this is why I think Gabe Kidd is involved. Gabe Kidd not only has beef and history with Kenny Omega, but he was the one who broke Eddie Kingston's leg and put him out of commission. Now, who has already been in Anarchy in the Arena, who is known to bring gasoline to a fight like this, remind you that the world is cold, you better bundle up.
That's
Imagine,
right.
And who is going to come in and who doesn't even recognize Moxley. Not only he's gonna blame Claudio for corrupting Moxley's brain and getting him to align with the Young Bucks, the people that were responsible, Bucks were indirectly responsible for breaking Eddie's leg. Gabe Kidd was the one that was involved. Gabe Kidd and the Bucks, Eddie Kingston has a reason to kill these mugs. And I think that Eddie Kingston being their mystery partner, the crowd will go nuts. There's so much story and drama there. If he's ready, I think Eddie Kingston would be a compelling mystery member.
Oh, 100%. That adds a huge wild card element to Team AEW with his type of street fighting style in a match like this, with the experience he's had in a match like this. Now, that wasn't one of my 4 surprises that I want to see at Double or Nothing.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'll mention all of them on our preview show next week, Saturday after Collision.
Sounds good.
However, one of the ones I will say is, if we're going to see the return of, as I mentioned before, Jack Perry. And where does he fall in line for this? Now, does he... This was one of my kind of takes that I kind of was going down the rabbit hole with. Team AEW winning. Jack Perry coming to almost save the day for Team Death Rider / Elite. And then his alliance is questioned, and then he officially forms an alliance with the Death Riders and kind of turns on the Young Bucks and the Elite. And so I think that would add another twist to the end of Double or Nothing if you see Jack Perry.
Baby faces, though? Would that? Do you think it's time?
I don't know. I would be fine if the Young Bucks, if the direction for All In is not to have Swerve and Hangman, or Swerve plus whomever versus Young Bucks, then you almost feel like you should have Perry return and turning on the Young Bucks in a sense. Would you rather have Perry join Death Riders and turn on Young Bucks, or rejoin the Elite to strengthen the Elite?
I don't know. I kind of like him with the Death Riders. It's like, but would people cheer Like, because the Young Bucks are they're being great heels. I don't know. I really don't know. Yeah.
See, that's like it's almost we miss Perry and want him, and his character work that he's been doing with the Scapegoat is very interesting. So I do want to see where he's going to be placed moving forward. Is it going to be realigned with the Elite and they're going to strengthen that, or what? So I'm very, very, very curious about that.
By the way, Steven asked in the chat, he's not going to be able to give us his picks out of time for Memorial Day. Yeah, if you can send us your picks. We usually try to put out a card. If you can find us on Twitter or Instagram. Just send us your picks, or you can
or even email us.
Yeah, email us at tell us what's the email we got. Dynamite Download Show
at gmail.com. I put it there
in
the chat there.
There it is. Dynamite Download Show. You can email us your picks. We got that going for us, which is nice. Good stuff. Yeah, got a lot of predictions. Gonna be
I'm
interesting.
Curious how the card's gonna shape out because all right, on paper right now, obviously the Owen Hart Cup finals matches are set for Double or Nothing. Anarchy in the Arena, Mina versus Tony.
Yep. Mercedes versus Jamie Hayter.
Yeah, the two final matches.
Mm-hmm. What else
is officially booked?
Well, I think there's I actually think after Collision we're gonna hear some more matches.
The tag team matches.
I think there's gonna be at the buy-in there's gonna be TNA versus Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford.
Okay.
I mean they're all but setting that one up.
Hit versus either Sammy and Dustin versus the Crew. The winner of that is getting the tag team title match at Double or Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 5 matches officially announced, and we're still waiting for the rest.
Gonna be awesome. I really am loving this build, man.
Oh yeah, excuse me, forgot this one. You're right. FTR versus Garcia and Nigel. So 6 matches announced so far to shape things out.
Very cool. Very cool. This is going to be a good Double or Nothing. It's going to be a great card. I'm excited for it, and it'll be interesting. But I'm also excited for making my new picks after Double or Nothing.
Top performers of the night. Who was your top performer of the night in the chat? Send us. We had. Oh yeah, we'll touch on that last slide at the end there. My top performer of the night was the champion himself, Jon Moxley. Just the way that he carried this match and his aura and everything that happened to really, without him and without the target on his back, like recently and of last night, I don't think Anarchy in the Arena wasn't going to happen. And so I like the way he carried this match. And of course, just the sacrifice he makes every single time he's in the ring is impressive to me. So he's my top performer of the night.
It could have been mine. I also would have been fine with Joe. Would have been fine with Swerve, even though he didn't wrestle. That whole thing was great. But I went with Hanger because I still thought that the chemistry between Hanger and Ospreay as a tandem, but also the storytelling was great. His reactions, the back and forth. Hanger and Ospreay, they're the present and the future of AEW. Yep. I thought they did great together. I thought that Josh and Takeshita were great with them. I felt like Hangman really shown in that match why he is who he is right now. Yeah, why he belongs to the top. And so I went with Hanger. But like I said, I think I agree with yours as well. I mean, I love when it's tough to pick a top performer because when there's a lot of different options. And we do want to some sad news and awesome news. The sad news that those of you that heard, and I think some people were talking about in the chat, Jim Ross announced on Twitter, he says he's diagnosed this week with colon cancer. Surgery's being scheduled next week or two. He appreciates concerned supports and your prayers and thoughts to Jim Ross. And we're wishing him speedy recovery. The man, the Black Cat, he's got a lot more barbecuing and bogodding to doing. So we need him back there.
And of course, rest in peace, Sabu. Man, that was that's a surprising news on that as well. So 10-bell salute for him. And, Taz really did a great tribute to him on Instagram. And of course, obviously, it was very hard live on Dynamite that he did. But another quite shock to the wrestling world on that one.
Absolutely. And just really quickly on the Sabu thing, before you jump to conclusions or read just some of the clickbait, please look into the whole story. Listen to what Joey Janela said about it, because I think a lot of people are jumping to conclusions thinking Joey was responsible, and he wasn't. In fact, there's a whole storyline with that whole thing. He did an interview. He actually did an interview before Sabu passed, and then about his last match. But definitely check some sources, and go to Joey Janela on Twitter and just kind of see his take on it before jumping to conclusions, because this was definitely Sabu's camp that was kind of involved in that whole thing. So it's a tragedy. You hate to see it, but I do think that it was awesome that he and Joey got to put on such an insane match where Sabu went face first into a bed of barbed wire. Absolutely. Brutal. But let's lighten the mood here with some great news. People were biting their fingernails and Tootsie Toes when they were waiting to hear the news when it was announced that Willow Nightingale's contract was going to be expiring soon. But it was announced today that Willow Nightingale, or actually it was announced yesterday, Willow Nightingale has re-signed with AEW, multi-year contract. She's not going anywhere. Everybody can smile anyway, because our girl Willow is staying with AEW, and I'm glad with that, because I don't think they would use her as well in WWE. Not that they're not using the women well, but Willow is home at AEW, I think.
And her just unique presentation,
yes,
I think wouldn't translate or given the time or effort that she gets in AEW. So yes, fantastic news for someone who's started at the bottom. Now she's here and really works hard and a joy to see on TV every single week.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Great stuff, man.
We need to start. What we should have, if we can make one, is kind of like a countdown ticker to All In, because that, like I said, 58 days away. So every show we do, we have a little ticker or a little icon that says how many days away to All In, because we're going to end our show like we've been doing ever since we officially booked ourselves to All In, that our All In hype video that you made. So 58 days till we get to All In, 10 days to Double or Nothing. A lot of stuff is cooking all summer long for us and AEW.
Love it. And we're continuing to load up, so keep those super chats coming. We've got some super chats for Tony Storm, Adam Cole, baby, Chris Statlander, and the Hounds of Hell, or super chat dogs, if you will. We got merch. Check out the awesome hat, by the way, and more heel and babyface shirts are coming our way. Shop, you go just the shop buttons below. Yeah, exactly. Go to
DDL.com one day.
ShopDDL.com. But without further ado, let's say goodbye, mwah, and good night.
I'm your Huckleberry.